Well, it certainly does feel like democracy very much in action at the moment. It's a really noisy, busy Westminster. Really, most of us have never seen anything like this in this country. I'm joined now by Henry Newman, who has worked in politics for quite some years. He's now director of Open Europe, a policy think tank, but I should just say that you were an advisor to Michael Gove, one of the key Brexit advocates. You worked on the Brexit campaign.
Yes.
And you also were just telling me that you used to work for Theresa May in a junior role, perhaps.
Not directly, but yes,
Not
I used to
directly.
advise her occasionally for question time and this sort of thing, yeah.
OK, well, with your knowledge of people who are intimately involved with this process, do you think Theresa May and the government will try again and keep trying again to win this vote if they lose today?
Well, exactly as implicit in your question, she's almost certain to lose today. I think she will have to bring this deal back to the Commons because ultimately this is the only deal that's really on offer. The EU may offer some further changes after this, but it's going to be relatively little. And we've seen already that the EU came forward with some changes. A letter came from the President of the European Council, Donald Tusk, and that was largely rejected out of hand, although actually it did have some substance in it. But the Prime Minister's in a bit of a bind, because really there are only three choices here. Either we don't leave the EU at all, there's no Brexit, and that would be very politically difficult for her, and I think very difficult for the country, and I think probably doesn't yet have the support of the Commons. Or there's a no-deal Brexit. We essentially, as some would put it, crash out without any sort of deal. Others are more sanguine about that, but still, I think that it's clear that the majority of Parliament is against it. Or in the middle, there's her deal or some version of that. And that's really why I think she'll keep coming back to this question of the deal.
When you talk to people in the Brexit camp, which I know you still do, and you worked on that campaign, do you have any regrets, or do they have any regrets about bringing democracy to its knees? The country's come to a sort of grinding halt. Government isn't doing anything other than Brexit, and actually finding agreement looks impossibly far off.
I don't think the country's come to its knees, and I don't think democracy's come to a grinding halt. There are obviously a lot of disagreements about the right way to go forward. I think what people have regrets about, in many cases, is the way that the Brexit process was handled. I think the Prime Minister and the government made a huge number of mistakes. Her divisive rhetoric from the start about citizens of nowhere, refusing to guarantee the rights of EU nationals, that all exacerbated divisions in this country rather than trying to bring people together. But ultimately, that, in some respects, all those mistakes during the process by the Prime Minister, by former Brexit Secretary and others, but that's all shoulda, woulda, coulda. We could have rerun it differently. We should have done it in a different way.
What happens now next? What if you're going to give a prediction as to how this will unfold?
So I think what the danger is that this now gets handed over to Parliament, and what we see in Parliament is a huge amount of magical thinking. We've got different MPs chasing unicorns, imaginary ideal Brexit scenarios, and the problem the PM's got is that her deal is nobody's first choice. What she's got to hope, though, is that ultimately it's enough people's second choice, and they can live with it. If they can live with it as a compromise, as a secure way through that doesn't deliver everything that the Brexiteers wanted, nor everything that the Remainers wanted, but is a viable path, then she might be in luck. And I think ultimately there's still a strong chance that this deal passes by the end of March.
OK, Henry Newman from Open Europe, thanks very much indeed. There is a thought that, yes, the Prime Minister will simply keep going, that people who perhaps made a protest vote now will ultimately fall into line as that no-deal deadline comes into view in 2.5 months' time. But we will, of course, keep a close eye on the vote, first of all, tonight in the next few hours.